My wife Anka was highly admired as a bride. Some of my friends were even envious that she chose me. During our wedding, there were even jokes about how intelligent she was, with people remarking on her beauty and sense of humor. Initially, I wasn't particularly interested in her, especially considering the age gap, but she had a way of entertaining me in the evenings that I grew to cherish. What I loved most about her was her ability to listen to me. As someone in the military, I often faced stressful situations, and she would sit across from me in the kitchen, looking deeply into my eyes and saying, "Tell me about it." I would pour out my thoughts and experiences, and she would attentively listen. Sometimes she even offered me advice, always providing a solution. After getting married, Anka made the decision to become a psychologist. She asked to join my service, and luckily, I had a vacant psychologist position at work. I wanted to keep a close eye on her to ensure she wouldn't face any harm. Then, an incident occurred at the service, causing our chief to run around the office in distress. He called Anka into his office, and I couldn't help but feel anxious for her. As soon as she exited the office, I asked her, "Why was he yelling at you?" I was used to her calm demeanor when interacting with me. Anka replied, "No, he's not really a bad person. It was a peculiar situation, almost normal." I couldn't help but ponder if psychologists too had their own personal struggles to contend with. After that, Anka began frequently visiting the chief's office. He would call her personally when he was feeling anxious, and through the duty station, he would reach out to her on the phone and seek her out. Consequently, it became common knowledge that she had a close relationship with the chief. Speculations started circulating, suggesting that she had some kind of influence over him, prompting her visits. Sometimes, she would storm out of his office in anger, have heated discussions in the staff room, and then pack up her things and head back to him. However, when sitting in his office and talking to him, the chief would transform into a completely different person. He would smile, answer questions, and inquire about our difficulties, looking for ways to help us, like granting someone early vacation or arranging time off. I warned her, Anika, that it wouldn't end well. Either she would be put under scrutiny or people would advise her against being so close with him. I maintained a strictly professional relationship with Evgeny Borisovich, and he would invite me to parties. This is what my wife told me. It's important to mention that Anika worked as a psychologist in a small office alongside the personnel officer, both reporting to the chief. She took it upon herself to ensure that people felt comfortable approaching her. Many individuals began seeking her out with their personal issues, not just those related to work. Some sought her guidance on family matters. Anika had no intentions of leaving her current situation. She was content with her life as it was, as long as she had her own separate office. The chief made arrangements to relocate someone from the staff, granting Anika her desired space, and suddenly my Anika was gone. The chief and I started visiting her in her new office for discussions. At that time, there were numerous new hires, and she worked closely with them as well. The chief would often bring his acquaintances, sometimes even potential candidates for positions, to visit her. It seemed that every time I went to see her, she had one of these men in her office, either a job applicant or the chief himself. One day, the duty officer approached me and delivered a surprising message. "You should keep an eye on your spouse and the chief. I witnessed them tidying up their clothes yesterday," he said. I couldn't believe it at first, but to ease my mind, I decided to visit my wife at her office. To my dismay, I discovered them embracing each other. Shocked and filled with anger, I hastily left for 3 days. Upon returning home, barely able to stand, my wife, Anka, confronted me. "He is a kind and caring person, always attentive to my needs. You, on the other hand, only complained and never asked about my concerns," she said. Without entering into an argument, I chose to divorce her and requested a transfer to another unit far away from them. During a memorable hunting trip, I learned about my ex-wife's well-being. Initially, I was informed that things were unchanged, and the head of the currency department had given her an early promotion. However, later I heard murmurs of discord between them, but no one revealed the specifics to me. Gradually, I began to let go of my thoughts of her. It was the duty officer who opened my eyes when he informed me that Tanka, my ex-wife, had left the psychology department and the unit altogether. Either she left voluntarily, or she was forced to quit. It seemed nobody had any sympathy for her. I imagine she went through a lot of suffering before departing. Although I ponder on her often, I cannot find it in my heart to forgive her. She once reached out to me asking for a meeting, but I chose not to reply. Since then, I have developed a distaste for psychologists and have avoided their help altogether. I have become allergic to their presence, both figuratively and literally.